Hey, I'm John Greaves the third. I'm the founder of Garage Gym Life. I appreciate all of you guys for watching this. Go ahead, hit that like and that subscribe for me. Help me get to my goals for this year. I am joined by my guy, Jake Jaworski, because he is going to give me an update on HomeGymCon 2024. What's up, Jake?
What's going on? Thanks for having me. I am always happy to talk about my favorite subject.
Oh, there you go. This is the premier home gym convention. I heard that somewhere.
Yes, Dylan from AbMat kind of snuck that in while he was talking about it. I was like,
I was like,
yeah,
I like
okay,
that. I was
okay.
like, I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. If you are watching this and you say things to yourself like Home Gym Con, what's that? And you're a home gym owner, we're not going to spend a lot of time going back over what it is. Instead, I've got a link going right over my head that will unpack all of that for you. It'll tell you what it is and how awesome it was and everything like that. So I encourage you guys, if you don't know anything about what we're talking about, go ahead, click that link, then come back here once you're up to speed, and then you'll be able to catch right up, hit the ground running, because we're gonna talk about all of the reasons why the momentum is real for Home Gym Con 2024. So, Jake, let's jump right into it. Home Gym Con 2023 was a huge success. Everybody I know who attended told me, hey, I can't wait for 2024. I heard you on the LFG podcast. Shout out to our guy Andrew from GoRX, and I was driving, so I was like, wait a minute, did I just hear him say that he's doubled the number of vendors? Is that right? That you doubled the number of vendors?
Yeah, so we have over two times the amount of vendors that were
Oh
there
wow.
last year, and most of them increased their booth size, and we had some newcomers that decided to get big spaces. So we actually have four times the amount of space that was filled up last year already filled.
That's
So
crazy because
yeah.
where we were, so when you guys watch the playlist that I have from Home Gym Con 2023, you'll see that we're in a very big event hall where most of the vendors have their booths set up. And these are all interactive booths, which is part of the attraction for going there. You get to play with stuff, you get to touch it, you get to talk to the people who make it. It's really cool. And now you're saying that we're going to expand that. So are you going upstairs, or is it just we're getting more of that space down there?
Yeah, so that space down there, if you were there last year, you'll remember like we brought in a lot of equipment. Like we had a lot of donations, we brought in a lot of our own stuff, and we filled up probably, I want to say, like almost half of that exhibition hall spaced out in an appropriate way, with
Okay.
additional equipment.
Okay.
So basically, all of that space will be filled up with vendors this year. So there's not going to be any room for us just bringing in equipment to put on the main exhibition hall. So
Okay.
but the exhibition halls that sold out, and we've started selling, like you mentioned, an additional space
Because you got
right.
the ballrooms upstairs too.
Yes. So there's an escalator that takes you down to the exhibition hall. And right across from that escalator is where this additional space is going to be. So if you were there
Okay.
last year, it's where we had our presentations.
Okay.
Um, there's three room, three very large rooms that open up, and you can keep the doors, you can keep the panels open and just make one huge room. So I want to say that that secondary room will be about 70% the size of the exhibition hall. So it's still a pretty big size. One side, we're going to have an Olympic weightlifting meet. Um, and then on the other side, we will have a like live presentations and podcasts. So those presentations and podcasts will be microphoned and kind of like go throughout. So you might be able to hear that from a big from a larger distance. And then in between that space, we should have room for like 20 to 30 more companies. And I want to say that's probably about 20% full right
Nice.
now.
All right, so let's talk about some of the companies, because even somebody who went last year and saw the vendors there is going to be pretty impressed. We had Rep Fitness last year. My guy Dean from Black Widow was there. He said he couldn't wait to he signed immediately signed back up again, by the way. It was like his first ever expo experience. I interviewed him, and in the interview, he said, "Yeah, that's my first time ever going to something like that."
Yeah.
And he said he was like blown away, and he said, "Man, I signed up immediately." He's already making plans to make it bigger and better. Um,
Hmm.
but in addition to companies like that, you've got some pretty big names coming. I'm not going to ruin it. I want you to tell everybody. So tell me some of these heavy hitters you got coming.
So there are 62 companies on the list right now. We had almost everybody decide to come back, actually.
Hmm.
So, and you mentioned momentum earlier. So I think about 80% decided to sign back up that first week or two. So I tried to sell, get everybody to come back as quickly as possible to build momentum to where we could go and get more right away as well, which ultimately led it to be easier to reach out to some additional companies. Big names, like you mentioned, we have we have Bells of Steel coming back as well.
Nice.
But we were able to get Sorinex, Rogue, Titan, GetRx, Fringe Sport. Peter Keller came last year. I was like,
I'm
oh,
about to say, I saw Peter there. I
Peter
didn't
was
get to
there.
talk to him, but I saw him there.
Yeah, and that was really cool. He was like, we're gonna be here next year. We should have been here. So
That's nice.
Fringe Sport. So honestly, maybe like the biggest 15 like PRX is coming.
That's awesome.
There's only a couple that that aren't coming.
Right.
But like Kabuki's coming. So we have all of the bigger companies, and then we have even more of the, like if you were there last year, a lot of this more niche products, smaller one-man operations, or small, like, people making products within the United States.
Okay.
So we have a fair amount of the industry already here.
Right.
So yeah. And I think like 58 of them are gym equipment suppliers.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's not like a lot of other conventions where it is like supplement here, programming here, this and that. Yeah. So it really is mostly gym equipment suppliers. So it is it looks really cool when you're there. And I think next year it's going to look even better with more companies.
That's outstanding. What I was going to say when you were saying smaller companies would be companies like AbMat are going to
Mm-hmm.
be there. They actually had one of the best booths in 2023. I was really, really impressed with their display, how they had everything set up.
Yeah. What was your favorite booths from last year?
My favorite, right off the bat, so I already said AbMat,
Yeah.
Black Widow, because
Uh-huh.
that was mostly because I had known of Dean for a long time, and I used a couple of his products, but I just liked the way he set up everything. And as soon as I touched his pull-up handles, I was like, oh wow, these are nice.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed getting to know Andrew and the guys from Bells of Steel. What was really cool about that is I had done a review of their open trap bar, and I kept getting questions about the handles and I'm sorry, not the handles, but the sleeves, why the sleeves were so short. I said, okay, well, at HomeGymCon, I was able to talk to Andrew, and he said, he agreed to do a video with me right there on the spot, saying, hey, I'll just tell everybody why we went with a smaller one and just continue this other product. So that was really cool for me as a creator, but also as someone who has the product. It's like, well, why did you guys stop making a thing that I think is good? So those I would say were three of my favorite. But I'm gonna say that the winner, just in terms of visual presentation, was Swing Sesh.
Yeah.
Swing Sesh is just, I mean, as a dad, watching my daughter play on that thing was phenomenal. And then I got to see all these adults playing on it. So that was funny too. I think like the biggest guy there climbed to the very top of it. I was like, oh, let's get him down. There's a safe way and there's a quick way.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So like the last time that you and I spoke about this, you said that we were going to have some sanction competitions, because last year we kind of had some pop-up interactive audience participation things, which were cool, like the deadlift party. You might have seen the red Power Ranger, but you haven't seen him deadlift unless you were at the deadlift party. Then we had the log lift, and that was really cool as well. but you've actually got some sanctioned events. So let's talk about the sanctioned events that you have coming.
Yeah. So yeah, last year we had some throw together events that were actually pretty fun to do and watch, and you did a good job live streaming those. But this
And I
year,
will
yeah,
again.
we're taking it up a little bit, another notch. And so the event is a Friday, Saturday, 2 full days. On Friday, we will have arm lifting, which is
Okay.
the sport of grip strength. So they'll be
Shout
doing
out to
arm lifting.
Ricardo.
Shout out to Ricardo. So that's kind of like I don't know what you call it, sanctioned arm
Yeah,
lifting.
yeah.
And then we'll
Yeah,
have
they
this.
usually have their competition. Just for anybody who's never not familiar with it, this is one of the events that they'll have at the Olympia.
Right.
They'll have it
Right.
at the Arnold, the LA Fit Expo. So it's a sanction and it's in multiple countries. I actually live streamed one of the events at the Arnold, and they have people come from Russia, Finland. It's a big deal to have it at
Right.
this at Home
Right.
Gym Con.
Yeah. And we actually have some, like, Ricardo's doing is 100% going all in on this, and it's very appreciative. We will have one of the events will be at the Sorinex booth, for example. So it'll be
Oh, nice.
a very interactive event that will
Cool.
kind of move along. And yeah, we'll be getting some good prizes there. Strongman competition on Saturday. So First Form's actually stepping up to the plate and being the title sponsor for that.
Nice.
So they have 8 big prize packs they're giving, and then we'll also have some additional prizes.
And we're actually live streaming that with
And
Kurt.
then you'll be live streaming that. Yep,
Yeah.
sure. So yeah, and Kurt, aka the Kurt Locker, has created that. He's running that.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job. We should have like a truck pull with that First Form truck pull. And then yeah, I can't think of the other events off the top of my head, but he is also 100% focused on the event, and also very appreciative to have like his expertise doing that.
Yeah.
Will Fleming, a master's weightlifting champion, and he runs 1 kilo, is organizing the weightlifting event. That should be ready to sign up any day, but that'll be upstairs. And then Andrew, as you mentioned earlier, from Bells of Steel, he runs Indie West Side Barbell in town where I live, and he is a meet director, and he's putting together a powerlifting meet.
Nice.
So we'll have all of those going on Saturday.
And these are all sanctioned events.
They're all sanctioned. And then also a little extra motivation to try and get more people. If each of those that get at least 30 people, which I think is incredibly doable, will be donating 5% of ticket sales to where like the meet director can give out as prizes in whatever way they want to. So yeah, so want to like really support the athletes as best as possible, and also like try and get some good athletes out so that the people that attend can have some entertainment.
We are still having that deadlift party though, right?
Yes,
the one that Surplus Strength runs.
And then the deadlift party will be at the end of the day, Saturday, right before kind of like usually at the end of the convention, or at least last year, there was kind of like a fire sale by companies like, hey, we want to sell as much stuff as we want to sell as much stuff as possible so we don't have to take home. So here are some discounts. So we'll have the Surplus Strength deadlift party, and then also on Friday, have not scheduled this, but we should have time to put together a log lift off like we did last year as well.
Oh, that'd be cool. Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
I mentioned that I talked to Dean and that he was very excited to be coming back, he and the vendors. In fact, before I say that, I'll say one other cool thing that he told me. And this is something that if you're watching this and you're going, you might want to explore with a vendor if you know that vendor is going to be there. Dean is making some custom stuff for people. They've already placed their orders, and he's going to deliver it to them at HomeGymCon. So it'll save them a little bit. So basically, they're going to show up with a truck, and so they don't have to pay for shipping. It's a place they're going to both be anyway, and so it's really cool. So that's something you guys might want to explore. Just look at the vendor list. easiest place to find it, probably go on Instagram at HomeGymCon, and that you'll see a list of all the vendors. And go ahead, drop a comment, you know. But what I was going to ask you is that Dean was excited about coming back. The vendors are excited about coming back. What about the attendees? Have you had, what's been the response from people who went last year as far as buying tickets to come back?
Yeah, I think a lot of the people that bought that premium ticket last year bought it right away.
Nice.
When it went for sale this year. Like you mentioned, the feedback at the towards the end of the day or the end of the convention was like, can't wait for next year. So I think everybody just had a good time. I've mentioned this on a few other podcasts, but it's just like a very good mix of like meeting new people, meeting people for the first time, having a good time with all of these like-minded folks. So it's just fun, even if, let's say, the showcases weren't as good as they actually were. So I think like that's number one. Number two is it's like you are able to get your hands on literally thousands of pieces of equipment if you want. So you can see pieces of equipment that you were thinking about buying. You can check out things that are kind of like on your wish list, or like just like things that you are awesome to look at and feel like just the best of the best. So
Well,
that
it's not just that now, because there are companies that will be unveiling products at the event. So AdMat unveiled a product at the event last year. Rep Fitness unveiled several bars. So we got to see them. Adam gave me like a walkthrough with all of them, but then they actually didn't come. Some of them are just now coming out,
right,
the past couple
clever,
months.
like clever,
Yeah,
yeah.
Clever also did that. So you're gonna get a chance to see stuff. I mean, maybe months ahead, and as you said, they'll have a fire sale. So you might
Yeah.
get your hands on something, let's say 5 months before everybody else.
And what's really cool is like like you mentioned, like Dean at Black Widows, it was their first time doing a convention. It was the first time doing a convention for most of these companies. So
Right.
now they have something to kind of gear their calendar around with new products. So it's like, you know, if you've ever followed like big tech conferences, like people try and have new product releases for these tech conferences because
Right.
they know that the most passionate people are going to be there, and they're going to be the ones that are not only spread the word the fastest about how great something is, but they'll give them the good feedback that they need.
Oh
So
yeah, 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 definitely.
so yeah, like that is definitely another aspect. So we have like just like being around like-minded people. You have the ability to touch all these products, new products, see new products. You have the ability to maybe compete in something this year, or at least go watch something. And then I'll also just mention like French Lick is definitely underrated. So like
Yeah,
it's like it's a very cool place to be. And then like if you go to those dinners, like the networking dinners, that adds another element. So there's just like a combination of a lot of different things that
yeah.
you get from going to something like this. And I do understand like it's a little bit of a travel, but I do think it's worth it for the people that love this stuff.
The thing for me is that was really valuable is that this isn't just like an event for people like me who are content creators. There were plenty of people there who I got to interact with who had seen my stuff, but who really are just people who are home gym owners who just enjoy, buying stuff. And I would say rarely do I get to meet people in person who watch my videos
Mm-hmm.
or who maybe we've exchanged comments on one of your videos or something like that, because that happens quite a bit as well. And so for me, it was really cool just being able to interact with people, just kind of relax and be around people who understand what, being a home gym owner. I didn't have to explain why I have stuff in my garage. I didn't have to, it just felt like, I think I called it a family reunion. And it
Yeah.
was kind of like that. It's like, oh yeah, we already know we have something in common, and that was really, really cool for me. Another thing that was cool for me relates back to what you just said about French Lick, in that my wife was there and what we're nerding out about equipment, but my little girl was there as well, and she was playing. So she climbed up on the swing sesh, but then she and I went to visit the bowling alley, the arcade. My wife was doing some work during the day, and so
Mhm.
my daughter and I just went around, just explored the resort. They've got tons of stuff there to do, even if you're not into home gym stuff. So if you want to make it a family vacation weekend, you can. There's like a
Yeah.
horseback riding, is that right?
There's
Uh,
horseback riding, there's golf, there's places to go shoot clay pigeons. There's an indoor water park right across the street.
oh wow,
There's an indoor pool in the resort, like you said, plenty of there's like a fun area as well within the actual resort.
yeah.
So yeah, there's like
There's a
there's
spa. That's the thing I was
there's
trying
a
to think of.
spa, yes.
Yes. So people's wives were getting their spa treatment or whatever while
Yep.
they were looking at equipment. It's debatable who spent the most money, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Let me ask you something though, real quick.
Sure.
So I think one thing that I would love to have is more content creators there. Like we had a handful there, but it would be
Sure.
great to get like ultimately like 20, 30. I think that's
Oh
what
yeah.
would actually like truly help this work,
Hmm.
to where you can keep it to where it doesn't have to get so big to be a success, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So a lot of like information goes digital as well. But has it like how easy was it to create content, and then like how has it been like messaging these companies since meeting them in person? Like has that truly helped?
Oh, heck yeah. So the first thing is I have a playlist of maybe 7, 8 videos um, from HomeGymCon, and all of them are interviews with companies that it would normally have taken me weeks to do,
Mm-hmm.
even if, let's say, every one of them responded to my contact DM and email immediately, right?
Yeah.
I still would have to schedule the Zooms, schedule everything, work around their schedules to do all of these interviews. I interviewed 3 companies in a 20-minute time span
Mm-hmm.
at HomeGymCon because we were all right there. Um, I remember I interviewed the guy from Badass Dumbbells and Weights. And I saw Matt Vincent talking to Mike from Nice Like Mike. Shout out to Nice Like Mike. Um, they were talking right next to me, and I was so the Matt Vincent. I'm assuming you guys know, but he has Hate Brand, Not
Mm-hmm.
Dead Yet apparel. All right, so he was right there talking right next to me to Mike, and I was interviewing the guy from Badass Dumbbells and Weights. From there, I went straight over to AbMat and did an interview with them. In fact, our camera was dying, so they let us use their camera. All right. So it was like amazing because I mean I literally, and that actually should tell you something. My camera was fully charged when I got there, and I did so many interviews, bam, 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 that with rep fitness, with everything, my
Yeah.
camera battery died, right? And then I was able to exchange contact information. So that led to 3 or 4 video opportunities with Bells of Steel
Yeah.
because I made contact with Andrew at HomeGymCon. And that I would say it's any if you are a content creator, and I don't mean like you dabble, but you say, hey, I want to do this for a living, you need to look at this, in my opinion, as a work trip. Like, hey, I need to be here
Yeah.
because I'm doing this for work. This isn't like just, oh, I'm gonna go and watch this thing or whatever. You're specifically gonna be able to go and network with people who are eager to talk to you about their product. I mean, why wouldn't they want to talk to you about their product? And then you're like, hey, I'm gonna, sometimes people are hesitant about being on camera for stuff. And instead, these people they're either ones that got sent there because they're the ones who are comfortable with talking. They're the ones who are comfortable with being in the public eye. So you can have somebody who can give you good feedback, good information about a product, and you don't have to do all the talking.
Right.
So to answer your question, it's too late to give you a short answer, but I would say even if I didn't enjoy the experience anyway, which I did, I would still say I need to be there because this is an invaluable networking opportunity for me.
Yeah, that's what I hope to hear. And it's from what I can tell, the content creators that were there are able to leverage this for weeks and weeks of material and to
Months.
propel the entire year. Like I truly think like you can plan an entire year of content based off of like going to something like this and meeting with people and scheduling things later in the year. Yeah.
All right. So if anybody is interested in getting tickets, because tickets are about to go up in price, how long do they have before the tickets go up?
Yep. So first of all, the sooner you buy, the better for the event. But really, so I'm going to raise the prices again on October 31st. So Halloween.
Okay. All right.
And then we'll probably raise them again in like January ish, and then keep the prices that remain until then. So yeah, I mean it's a tough. I get it. It's kind of a tough to plan 6 months out for some people.
Yeah,
With
especially
like
if you've never been
PTO
there,
and
you're like, what
yeah,
is this? And I got you.
yeah.
But that's why we're doing this, because I want people to understand. So like the first year we got our tickets, and I remember I was like, I don't I know other people. I know that Kyle had told you, hey, you ought to do this,
Uh-huh.
but I'm willing to bet that I was the first person to reach out to you as soon as you put the new word out and say, hey man, this is a great idea. What can I do? You
You
know what
were
I
one of
mean?
the first. Yeah, for sure.
And because I was like, dude, you don't. So I've been a home gym owner since 2001, and I can't even imagine if something like this had been available for me, let's say in 2005, when I
Yeah.
was still, because I was still trying to figure things out,
Hmm.
still asking questions, you know? So I think this is a huge thing. But all of us who bought tickets had no idea what we were getting into. We're just like, you know,
Yeah.
and
I know.
I think the person who said it the best was Keith, and he was like, from the No Wine Cellar on Instagram. He's like, we're sitting at the dinner that night, and he said, so I figured, hey, I got a shirt from it, and either this will be the first one, so it's cool, or it never happens again, so it's still cool, so it's a collector's item. I said,
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that's how I felt about my
Uh,
ticket stub. I said, I don't know.
yeah, I know.
What's gonna happen here.
I didn't know either. I didn't know either. I remember like I didn't have too many expectations
Oh
going
yeah.
into it. I think like it was like it started on a Friday
Yeah.
afternoon, and I remember like Thursday night, like I want to say like a third of it was like the vendors had filled up their stuff, and I was like, this is going to be cool. Like
Yeah.
that's when I finally was like, okay, I
Yeah.
think this might work. Like I have confidence in it. So yeah, I didn't really know what was happening either, which makes it hard
Oh
to
yeah.
explain. Yeah. So, but yeah, it turned out great for year
It
one.
was,
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the coolest things was seeing your face when you got, for those of you who don't know, Jake hates, number one, talking about himself. Number two, he's not a huge fan of public speaking. He likes for the focus to be on other people, right? Uh, However, one of the things that comes with this deal is you got to make a speech. So he gets
Yeah.
up to make a speech at the dinner. And when I saw your face when you were looking at everybody there, it looked like it was like hitting you, like, oh, I did it. And now I didn't get a chance to tell you that, but that was one of my coolest moments, seeing you succeed like that. I thought that was really cool, man. But to bring it a full circle, it's going to be even bigger. It's going to be even better this year. I have full confidence in it. So if somebody's buying a ticket now, you at least know where this is actually going to happen, and you've got videos you can watch that'll show you what's going to happen. So if somebody wants to get tickets, or just and follow you guys on Instagram, if they just want to know, keep up to date on what's going on, they don't have to wait for videos like this.
Yep.
Give them all the details so they can get hooked up.
Yeah, you can buy tickets at homegymcon.com. And then the best place to kind of follow along is just on Instagram at HomeGymCon. So that's the best place to follow along. I also do a weekly podcast with my buddy Adam, and we kind of highlight what's the happenings on for a HomeGymCon to start off each podcast. So that's also a good way to hear it from the horse's mouth what's going on as well. If you want to check out the Garage Gym Experiment podcast.